K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those who will take. Attorney General's lying even while...
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, happy Friday. Happy Friday evening. Happy Good Friday. All of the above. I do hope that all of you who are practicing Christians and practicing Catholics and all that fun stuff do take a moment to remember what today is meant to represent. And today is the day, of course, that represents the day that Christ was nailed to the cross and died for all of our sins. So it's with both overwhelming sadness and happiness at the same time that I for want of a better word, I'm not going to do that. So bring back Red Shirt Friday. It's been a while since we've done one. We used to do this every Friday for a very long time. And then as things continued to grow and things continued to change, it was just something that never really got brought back. And then for a while, we weren't even doing live programming on Fridays, so there wasn't any point in calling anything Red Shirt Friday. Well, I've been toying with the idea of bringing it back, and I just decided to make it incorporated as part of the America Off the Rails weekly schedule, because other than a couple of times here and there where I've elected to give up times for either partner shows or for other hosts, the show pretty much does run almost every day of the week, so it's no reason to not have a Red Shirt Friday edition. Now, the happiness is, what better day to bring back Red Shirt Friday when we all know what Red Shirt stands for. The red, both the color and the acronym, or Remember Everyone Deployed, and the red is to basically remind us of the fact that we do have friends, family, and possibly even very close loved ones that are in the middle of harm's way, while we have an administration that has its head firmly implanted in its own backside. We will get to that here in just a little bit, though, because there has been some great, wonderful breaking news, and yes, that's, again, sarcasm. The Obama administration has brokered the beginnings of a deal with Iran. And we'll have some clips to play about that here in just a few minutes, and we will get to that. But first, we've got some housekeeping to announce. Steve Long, a member of the network that I own, run, and am managing partner of the Spark Radio Network, has been, for the longest time, syndicated through Vigilant Liberty Radio. He had found them, and he thought that it was going to be a good fit for him, and there were some other things that had happened. And he and I have been talking for the majority of today, and he's made the announcement to come fully back home. So now not only will he be a full part of the Spark Radio Network, as he always has been, he is now returning to live broadcast under the K98 Talk banner. He has a really great show lined up for Monday. We had this whole thing planned out while we were both at the day jobs, and he wrote up something that I was going to make this really proud announcement about, and now, sadly, neither one of us have access to the information that we had earlier. So, needless to say, he has a really special guest coming on this Monday. We'll have some more information available for that over this coming weekend, because we definitely want to hype up the fact that one of our own has come home, not only remaining a part of the Spark Radio Network, but now returning to live weekly broadcasts right here on K98Talk.com. And he couldn't have picked a better night to do it, because he's now moving to Mondays at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So Monday nights, the new lineup effective this week is me, myself, and I, all three of my crazy voices, from 6 to 7 Central, otherwise known as 7 to 8 Eastern. Steve from 8 Eastern to 9 Eastern, I think. No. 7 Eastern. Steve is 8 Eastern. Yes, that's right. Then, did I just? Oh, no, that's right. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting things mixed up between the two different Politainment blocks, because they used to do back to back to back to back, so I confused myself. Okay, so let's try this again. So me from 6 to 7, otherwise known as Central Time, and I just got a really loud announcement. That kind of freaked me out. All right. So, yeah, anyway, sorry. So, me from 6 to 7. Then we have Steve from 7 to 8. Then we have, this week will be a little bit different. It is usually Real Serious Nonsense, but they have a new group that are a new couple of co-hosts, a show with a couple of co-hosts that are going to be coming here live on Tuesdays. So, they're going to get a little bit of an introduction this week by taking over the usual Real Serious Nonsense time slot. Then we will have Daniel, of course, batting cleanup. So at this point, that is now 4 really great shows, all back to back to back. 2 from the Spark Radio Network, 2 from Politainment, and the 2 biggest powerhouses right now in talk radio, all in one place on K98Talk.com. So, really glad that the whole Politainment crew has decided to make this their new home. Really glad that Steve is coming back home to K98 Talk, because now we can bring you the best consistent live talk radio, as far as I'm concerned, not only in the country, but getting to the point where it's around the world at this point. I mean, this is not to toot my own horn, because I'm not that kind of guy, but let's just take a brief second and look at this again. So we have me, least of all, me, and then Steve at 7, Angie and Clay usually, except for this week, at 8, Daniel at 9, and then Tuesdays we have some stuff, and that we have, of course, myself. And then that's when we do a lot of the other syndication stuff. But then on Wednesdays, we have Grouchy for 2 hours from 6 to 8. Then we have Bunny. Then we have Jason. So, I mean, just think of that. You know, not even counting the folks that we've syndicated, and even taking me out of the equation. You've got Steve, Angie, Clay, Daniel, the new group that's coming in on not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, will be assuming, I believe it's the 8 o'clock Central Time slot, so 9 Eastern. And then we have, on Wednesday nights, a really, really solid anchor crew of Grouchy, Bunny, and then Jason. I mean, come on. Where else are you going to find that kind of talk radio all in one place? And that doesn't even bring into account the syndication talent that we have here. We have folks from Late Night in the Midlands, which is basically one of the biggest internet talk radio groups out there that do the alternative news and It's basically coast to coast of the interwebs, as I like to call them. They are full on going to radio station status. I just got that email. So some things will be changing there, but we already run them on a delay, so that won't affect us here. And then, of course, we still have folks like Tom O'Halloran. We have Liz Harrison. We have Taylor Millard, also who co-hosts with Liz on The Right War. I mean, come on. We've got all of the top talk radio folks all in one single place, and there's still even more that I'm leaving out, one of which would be the Voices of Global Freedom Radio crew. And I know there's more, just for the moment I can't think of them. So, K98 Talk, it's been a long, drawn-out process, and it's been painful at times, but it really is starting to come together. And I just want to not only let you guys know what's going on, but give a great big thank you to all of you who tune in on a regular basis and make this the greatest station around, and have helped make the Spark Radio Network one of the rising stars in talk radio, because I hear from folks all the time about how well everybody does once they come here and how much everybody likes to tune in. So a lot of that has to do with you guys, though, because you guys are the ones that keep coming back. You guys are the ones that make it worth us flipping the switch every day. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have enough voices in my head where I would do this even if nobody was listening, but it is very, very great to know that folks actually listen. All right, so I think I have talked that about to death. We're going to go ahead and take a really quick break just so I can play something that amuses the crap out of me, and then we'll be right back with the meat of the show.
Y'all, this is Sam Janney, also known as The Bunny, and you're listening to America Off the Rails.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theromedics. Theromedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theromedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
All right, now that we've given the shout out to the sponsor, without further ado, this is a production of the Polititainment crew, and it cracks me up every single time. So let's just enjoy this, and then we'll get to the seriousness.
When the sun goes down, things heat up in Afghanistan's only gentleman's club,
the Gaza Strip.
The only thing hotter than the desert sun are the girls. Don't just think about what's underneath that burqa, because we're the only gentleman's club where girls wear burqas you can
see right through.
We have specials going on every night. No cover to charge if your close relative was a suicide bomber on Martyr Mondays. And Tuesdays, we break all the rules. It's TNA Tuesday, where women expose their toes and ankles just for you. Don't forget our Can't Miss Falafel Friday. And every night, DJ Al Jazeera plays your favorite Sharia-compliant songs. Check out our bathroom with indoor plumbing and running water, plus free valet parking for your camel. What more can a man want? Your new favorite hangout is just a stone's throw away. Leave your prayer rugs at home, boys. You won't need them at
the Gaza Strip.
All right, yeah, sorry, just, in between, Red Shirt Friday and the fact that the rest of the show is going to be serious and involve me probably yelling, maybe screaming a little bit, just had to take a second and just kind of decompress. It's been one of those days because the news is all a flutter and a twitter and talking about what a great president Obama is and how he is ushering in this new age of peace. And if only the Republicans would stay out of his way, we could make sure Iran never got nuclear weapons. And I don't really know what to say to that. I really don't. Because if you listen to the news stories, they make it sound like this is such a great, wonderful thing, and that we should all join hands, maybe find a tree to hug, sing Kumbaya, become free to be you and me, hug a tree hippie types. It seems like that's where this administration has their head. It's like they're permanently stuck in the 60s. Which, I've seen some movies and stuff from the 60s and 70s. Not necessarily a bad place to have your mind stuck, I guess. But do you really think that there's no way, that there's any way that Iran is actually going to keep this deal? Let's just be really honest here, because let's face it, a few weeks ago they were talking about the preliminary talks. And during those preliminary talks, they were talking about the fact that Iran already wasn't living up to their part of the deal in those preliminary talks. But now that they've supposedly closed this deal, let's hear how much the story has changed, shall we? Let's start with the one that makes my head want to explode the least. Let's cue up John the Raisin Kerry, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a lot more than you thought you'd get.
Well, no, it's what we knew we wanted to get and had to get, but you never know in a negotiation if you'll get it. But we knew we were going after something important. I've said continually, we got to have a good deal, and we have to close off those pathways, and that's what we've been working to do.
What's to say that Iran's not going to come back when you're doing the final negotiating and try to reopen all of this?
Then they don't get an agreement. Look, we're very clear about where we are. I'm quite confident about the parameters as they have been articulated. They will have a narrative that is different from ours, obviously, and we will have what we have.
Several members of Congress are already coming out against this agreement. They seem to have a veto-proof majority for a vote, for a say. They could kill this.
No, I don't believe so. And I think on close inspection, I don't believe that will happen. That would be very irresponsible to make politics trump facts and science and the realities of what is possible here. And it would be particularly irresponsible to do it when you have 6 nations, the P5 plus 1, permanent members of the Security Council, plus Germany, China, and Russia, which don't have always everyday common interests with us in everything, but they are absolutely dedicated to the enforcement of this. So I think that really some of our senators and congressmen need to step back, take a deep breath.
You've spent more time with the Iranian foreign minister than most foreign ministers you've been meeting with, and certainly more than any U.S. official has spent with an Iranian official in 30 years. What was the most surprising thing about these negotiations? Take us inside there.
Well, I think there was a seriousness of purpose. People negotiated hard. It was tough, very intense at times, sometimes emotional and confrontational. It was a very intensive process, but because the stakes are very high and because there is a long history of not talking to each other. For 35 years, we haven't talked with the Iranians directly like this. So we're not basing this on a naivete or trust or some element of good faith. This is based on real steps, real accountability, real measures that have to be implemented, and on accountability if they're not.
Does this help you with Iran, with other areas, for instance?
I have no idea,
Yemen
because we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk. Iran has a lot of challenges right now with the rest of the community in that region, and we've made it clear that an Iran without a nuclear weapon is better than given some of what's happening in the region and Iran with a weapon. We have been focused on trying to deal with the nuclear issue, and we will continue, as I made very clear tonight, as the President has made clear, to be focused on the other issue of what Iran is doing within the region.
Oh, I'm sorry, pardon me. That was my pocket bullshometer. It redlined so hard it set off an alarm. Let's be really honest here for just a moment. This is Kerry and Obama both hanging this peace deal on the hopes that if they can pull this off, one, Obama, in the eyes of the world, who are all a bunch of people who don't like us for the most part, he'll redeem himself for the Nobel Peace Prize that he's already gotten. And since Kerry, because he's the Secretary of State, becomes a very major player in this deal overall, he will probably be, if not simply nominated for the Peace Prize, possibly even win it, which is how he plans to get himself to the White House. Do you really, let's be honest for a second, everybody knows, because there's been enough rumblings, there's been enough backdoor chatter about it, there's been enough noise, everybody knows that it was Valerie Jarrett who torpedoed Clinton. Pun intended. Yeah, that's right. Let that visual sink in just for a second. But we all know it was her who basically took out the Clintons' hopes for the first female presidency. And even the liberal pundits who were declaring her already the first female president have already started to backpedal from this, thanks to the damage done by Miss Valerie Jarrett. Now, why do you think that is? I mean, think about it for just a second. Let everything kind of sink in, percolate, sit around, because we've talked about this before, but I don't know how many of you are picking up on the signals. Valerie Jarrett was born where? I can tell you in one answer. Starts with an I, ends with Iran, or Iran. Or the word ran, I guess is what I was trying to say. So yeah, she was born in Iran. Do you find it coincidental that someone who has the president's ear, as well as having his scrotum in her purse, would probably be pushing for things like said Iranian deal? But why? What's their end goal? Let's face it. Hillary and Bill, I mean, you know, aside from the fact that Bill was a chauvinistic pig who liked to do nasty things to interns in the Oval Office, and with interns in the Oval Office, they were really pretty center of the road. So do you think that if Obama was able to broker this deal, since it wasn't and it didn't have the Clinton fingerprints on it, that they wouldn't find a way to tear it apart? First of all, they don't trust Iran much more than the previous administrations have, because Bill's had to deal with them. Bill knows the world stage better than Obama's ever going to. And whether we like it or not, he would have been the first gentleman. And yes, I use that term loosely. I've heard folks trying to figure out what the first male husband of the president would be. And it seems rather an easy thing to determine to me. The first lady and the first gentleman. That seems common sense to me, but who am I? Alright, so, but back to what I was saying a moment ago. Do you really not see the connecting of the dots here? Because It's kind of blatant at this point. Obama does not like Israel. Obama doesn't like Israel because Valerie Jarrett doesn't like Israel. And what Valerie Jarrett wants, Valerie Jarrett gets, because you know how everybody used to talk about old G-Dub being the puppet of that there evil Dick Cheney who shot his buddy in the face? You know, the one who went on the hunting trip and said, "Hey, look, it's a buck." Oh, crap, that was you, Jim. I'm sorry. I don't even remember the dude's name, so I'm just making crap up. But the whole point I'm trying to get across here is everybody started talking about how Cheney was the one with his hand up Bush's backside, telling Bush what to say and what to do. Nobody talks about the fact that, one, even if that is true, which I doubt, because let's face it, George W. Bush may talk like a hick, and he may say words like nuclear. How do you... nuclear? Yeah, that's how he says it. Nuclear. I had to oakify myself again for a minute to be able to remember how to say that there word nuclear. Because, yeah, I mean, yeah, he may talk like he's a hick, but come on. He's been to college. He knows how to fly an airplane. I mean, not only an airplane, but a freaking fighter jet. So, obviously, he's got a modicum of intelligence, probably a little more than a modicum. But now we have this, whatever the hell you want to call him, community organizer who basically went from that straight into low-rung politics. And then because, in Biden's own words, he was articulate and clean and well-spoken, which is interesting because that means the same thing, yet nobody caught the fact that he basically said it twice. For a black man is exactly what he said. But we're the racist party. Don't forget that. Conservatives, yeah, conservatives equals racist. You know, never mind the fact that the Republicans are the ones that, never mind. We've had that talk before, too. So anyway, back to where I was. Just saying, it's just the stupidity abounds and astounds. But yeah, so, you know, and again, why is Kerry so big on this deal? Because it's going to help him do what he's always wanted to do as far as he's concerned, which is to become the next president of the United States. And the simple fact of the matter is, what they're ultimately going to manage to do is to not only to make sure that Israel glows in the dark, but at some point we do too. So for all of you that are sleeping with a nightlight today, never fear. In probably the next, I'd say 5 years tops, you won't have to worry about that anymore because we'll all have our own radiated, lovely glow, courtesy of Iran and this asinine administration. So hey, good news for all of you that are afraid of the dark. Don't have to worry about it too much longer. All right, so we have come to the bottom of the hour. It is time to take the yet another break. So we're going to do that now. Maybe. Ever have one of those days? All right, there we go. All right, folks, we're out. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes. Got to take a break. Got to play some stuff, and then we'll be back to talk some more. All right, so this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes to finish things up for the night. Still have a lot more on tap, more on this Iran deal, and then let's not forget the two New York-based female terrorists. Still have to discuss them too, so don't go anywhere.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in... listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Good day to you. As a distinguished gentleman, I need a serious source of news. One that doesn't waste my time when I'm enjoying my tea and crumpets.
White powdered! White powdered!
One that catches the most important stories of the day.
The poop plane.
Was it jet poop? Real serious nonsense. Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
I'm gonna just move in another direction towards the classy.
We'll be classy and not say dildo.
They're completely different from shows that aren't.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
We're gonna spread happiness. We're gonna spread freedom. Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead 'em.
So let me be clear. You didn't build that.
Everything he's done is clean as a whistle. He's never not only broken any law, he's never done anything wrong. He's the perfect father, the perfect husband, the perfect American.
Hey y'all, this is Sam Janney, or the Bunny as many of you know me by, your friendly neighborhood bad girl of conservatism. Here to talk to you about my show. I'll talk about conservative issues, my top 10 douchebags of the week, and have some pretty badass conservative guests on the show. All that, plus me, your resident bunny with a chainsaw.
It's Unapologetically Bunny. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Coming to a computer near you, starting in January on K98Talk.com.
Bad producer, bad. That was the wrong one. We really got to clean that out. That was when we were running her, or I thought we were going to be running her in conjunction with 405, and then everything changed. But yeah, she is not on Thursdays. She's on Wednesdays. So, my bad. Sorry, folks. Okay. So, since we had to, I really wanted to just make sure I fixed that. So, I'm blah blah blah. Okay, so anyway, sorry, having one of those moments. I haven't had one of those in a while, but got really thrown off when I realized that was the wrong one. So I need to make sure I remove that one from the files. Okay, so back to the show. I've partially recentered myself, maybe. Probably not, just being honest. All right, so let's talk about the next news story. I'm going to let this clip play first because I didn't realize we were already down to like 20 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I think I've about talked the Iran deal to death because it's been kind of a recurring theme for the last few shows, off and on bits and pieces. And let's just say that it stinks to high heaven. And if the Republicans don't do something about it, they don't deserve to have a party anymore. Just throwing that out there.
2 women are under arrest in Brooklyn. They're charged with planning to build a bomb, possibly with some sort of connection to ISIS. I want to bring in CNN's Jason Carroll here in New York, who's been working this story.
Yeah.
I just got the complaint. All I just saw were two names and the willfully conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction, and I think these women are in big trouble.
Big trouble. Let's go through as much as we can. Just getting the complaint now. Two women identified. Noel Valencia, 28 years old. Asia Siddiqui, 31 years old. Both of them from the United States, roommates. They live together in Queens.
U.S. citizens.
U.S. citizens. According to this complaint here that we've been reading through, both of them, according to the complaint, knowingly and willfully conspired to use a weapon of mass destruction. In this particular case, an IED, an improvised explosive device. According to this complaint, Siddiqui was already in possession of multiple propane gas tanks, instructions on how to transform those gas tanks into explosive devices, and apparently she was also obsessed with pressure cookers ever since the Boston bombing. Of course, you know pressure cooker bombs used in the Boston bombing as well. And reading through this complaint, some of the points that we found interesting, Siddiq had been in contact, apparently, with members of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The goal was to blow up and use bombs from afar rather than conduct a suicide bombing. And also to, according to the complaint, another goal was to make history. Obviously, these two women influenced by ISIS, by the internet and through other means as well. It goes through a lot of detail here, allegedly going to a Home Depot, a local Home Depot, to pick up a lot of their materials.
No one was ever in any danger, though. I mean, this is always made very clear by the FBI that when they make these arrests, they say almost first and foremost, no one was in any danger.
Not yet.
We got at this at the moment that we could. I just want to bring up that back in 2010, if you remember, a gentleman tried to set off a bomb in Times Square. Right. It didn't work. It was found smoking. And I can tell you this, these are the same charges. He was facing a 10-count indictment, and he was sentenced to life in prison. He pleaded on this one. This is very, very serious. These women could be in a lot of trouble. It's the same charge as Jahar Tsarnaev, except the resulting in death part, which, by the way, he is facing the death penalty.
And the same type of influence. Influenced by al-Qaeda, influenced by ISIS, wanting to make history, wanting to make a statement. That's what we're finding in this complaint as well, allegedly, about these two women. One of the other things that I found interesting is when you look through the amount of time that was spent on the investigation, undercover investigators working on this for more than a year.
They've been watching them.
For more than a year.
This is what happens when you have an administration that refuses to call terrorist attacks terrorist attacks. We are emboldening them enough now that they are attacking on our own soil because the administration gives them the impression that they're afraid of them. Because they won't call them what they are. They won't speak the truth because they're afraid the truth is going to offend someone. Political correctness be damned. I'm going to say it again. Political correctness be damned. I have friends who are Muslim. Co-workers that are Muslim. I've worked with people that are Muslim. And I've been honest with them. And they understand it. And most of them will if you talk to them about it and you talk to them like a person. And you help them understand. And I've had this conversation. The exact conversation I'm about to quote almost word for word is, look, I understand you're a person just like I'm a person. But now that we've gotten to know people a little bit, this is what I want to know. Because I've read your book. Your book scares the crap out of me. And they will usually start off by saying, well, why does my book scare you? And by book, I mean Quran. And I will tell them point blank, there is no reformation point for the Muslim belief system. Christianity started taking a turning point. The Torah, or the Old Testament, was a very violent book with a very vengeful God. At some point, everything shifted. Islam has had no such shift. It didn't go from an eye to eye for an eye to turn the other cheek. It never happened. Their book still says the same thing that it always says. And if you read the compendiums and the companions about how you're supposed to read the book and the best way to understand the book, it's not like the Bible where things are in somewhat of a chronological order. The simple fact of the matter is it's not even meant to be read in order. So when I explain all this to them, and I explain, that the fact that there is a word that concerns me when it comes to Islam and Muslims, and that is taqiyya, or taqiyya, or tuqiyya, or however you want to pronounce it, because depending on who you ask, there's about 1 billion different ways to say it. I just want to say taquito and be done with it, but that would just make me a racist again. So, that being said, which in anybody who doesn't know, feel free to look it up. Basically, it says the following, that as a Muslim, if you feel that your lives are in danger, or the lives of your family members are in danger, or for any other number of possible combination of reasons, you are allowed to not be honest with anyone who is not a believer of Islam. For the folks that use that to the fullest extent of the possible translation, there is a very narrow group of true faithful Islam. So how are we supposed to know who's being the good guy and making the good guy and be like, oh, we're friends, it's okay, you can come hang out with me. No, I don't drink, but you can hang out with me. So anyway, back to what I was talking about a second ago. How are we supposed to know? And I've asked Muslims that, and the thing is, they always get defensive. I don't care how well I know them, how often I've talked to them, they always get defensive. And they know it's in there as well as I do. But the first thing they'll do is start talking about how the Old Testament was blah, 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 eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, stone someone for this, stone someone for that. But then I go back and I say, but look, you can see where it's changed. So this is my problem. How are we to know who to trust? And how are we supposed to deal with it when the administration is tying the hands of national, federal, state, local law enforcement folks? I mean, you've heard the interview with Yoda and Backpack, who are big in counterterrorism and still actively participate in national trainings for counterterrorism, which is why they use the pen names Yoda and Backpack. And all of the words that are being removed from federal training manuals because they might incite people and they might upset someone. What about all of us being upset? Look at these two ladies here. What were they planning to do? And there's other stories, there's other clips. I'm going to play some of those on tomorrow's show, where they talk about how they don't understand why all of these people are fleeing to the Middle East to commit jihad when there's so many targets of opportunity here. They're starting to figure it out, folks, and our open borders have let them in. Why does no one understand how this is going to work and how it could possibly not end in a very good way? I don't understand it. I really don't. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a radio schlub. Never mind the fact that I can read people pretty well. I've had experience that has put me in situations where I've had to deal with people that are not always being entirely honest with you, and it does sometimes make it kind of easy to read, and that's one of the reasons why I say, for the most part, I will try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt as much as I can. But when you have folks like this, who look like everyday, common, run-of-the-mill folks, all of a sudden buying pressure cookers and propane tanks and talking about how they were going to blow some shit up, yeah, that's a problem for me. That's a very large problem for me. And yes, I know there are some of you out there right now that are screaming at your listening device of choice, whether it be your computer, your laptop, your mobile phone. It doesn't matter, because you're like, but, Rick, just because these two did it, but how many others are there? Because we don't know. And you know why we don't know? Because we have no border protection. And why do we not have any border protection? I'll tell you why we don't have any border protection. It's because the Obama administration doesn't want any border protection. He has been tying the hands of the immigration and customs folks that work the border for a very, very long time. And why is he doing that, you might ask? Because he keeps doing end runs around Congress. Much like he's done with this whole Iran deal, because there cannot be a treaty without Congress's approval. There's a reason there cannot be a treaty without Congress's approval. Read our articles. If and when a treaty is ratified by Congress, it holds the same weight as our Constitution in our eyes, because we have entered into a treaty with a country that we now on some level consider an ally, and therefore we hold them in the same accord and same regard as we hold our own legal founding documents. Some of you are cheering right now because you're like, hey, wait! If we hold them in the same regard as we hold our Constitution, does that mean Obama's going to wipe his ass with the treaty? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But he sure as hell has been doing it with the Constitution. I mean, I think he's got it, like, photocopied and got it in, like, birdcage liners, cat box liners, soft and fluffy for the toilet paper edition. I mean, dude, come on. This whole administration is all over the Constitution. Look at everything that they're doing. And why does all of this matter, you might ask? And what the heck does it have to do with Red Shirt Friday? Because what do you think these guys and these women have been fighting for? All of you idiots on Twitter spouting your hate about how, the right is nothing but a bunch of hate mongers. You don't know us. You don't know what we do every day. You don't know what we've been through. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what the difference is between everyday run-of-the-mill conservatives and liberals. And I'm not talking, there's a few liberals out there that are exceptions to the rules, so don't everybody go butt-hurt troll on me. But hey, whatever happens, happens. Let me tell you the difference between a liberal and a conservative. A liberal sees an idea, then they petition the government to fix whatever the problem is with the idea that they had, or to make some regulation to make it easier to fix the problem that they had, and then they bitch, moan, whine, and complain until the government steps in and says, hey, we're going to fix this for you, and then we're going to fix some more things for you, so make sure you vote for us again, because otherwise it might not stay fixed for you. Now, this is what happens when a conservative sees something. They see a need. They see something that needs to be done. They see the opportunity to find a way to help someone. They do it. How many times have you, as a conservative, been walking down the street or riding down the street, and all of a sudden you see a homeless guy holding a sign, and against your better judgment, you hand the guy $5 or $10? It's usually the liberals that are driving by screaming, hey, get a job, you effing loser. The conservatives are like, hey, at some point I might be there, so maybe I should show a little kindness. I was talking about this with JD from War Radio last night on Twitter, because he was talking about the fact that he was building a business and how doing all the radio stuff and trying to build a business and everything else is hard work. And I said, well, I'm building radio stuff, which I'm turning into a business and doing a day job too. So I do fully understand, because he's got the day job and trying to build a business and trying to do the radio. I've got the day job trying to build a business, trying to do the radio. And we were talking about the fact, that's kind of the difference between liberals and conservatives. We see something that needs to be done, or we see something that we think can help make a difference, and we find a way to get out and do it. We don't wait for somebody to tell us how to do it. We don't wait for somebody to tell us it's okay. We just get up and we effing do it. Because it needs to be done. All of this, just like the interview with Rod Eccles last night, all of this started because I had an idea and I was tired of feeling like nobody was listening. So I started seeing all these Facebook pages pop up that were political. So I started one. and it was right-leaning, and it was great, and it was fun, and I had a couple hundred people that would hang out with me, and we would bash liberals, and I'd be like, yay, fun times, happy-go-lucky, let's do this some more. And then after a couple of months, I got bored, and I started thinking, the bottom line point is, no matter how much nobody wants to mention it, most of us, unless you're like, Elizabeth Warren supporters, Bryce, you know who you are, a lot of us liberals and conservatives have a lot of things in common. We just don't want to see them anymore because we all want the same things, for the most part. We just have a different idea of how we should get there. So that's where the idea of finding common ground came into play, which was first a Facebook page, then became a radio show in a former iteration, and then we changed everything to Finding Common Ground. Then we formed the company that has now also gone through a few iterations. But the simple fact of the matter is, we saw something, we saw a way to make a difference, we saw a way to hopefully reach people, and we figured out how to get it done. And I said we because it wasn't just me. It's never been just me. But that's the other thing that I don't understand about the extreme on the other side. In this business, as I get to know more and more of the web-based GMs and even some terrestrial-based GMs, this whole dog-eat-dog, me against the rest of the world mentality that has taken over, especially I want to say especially conservative radio, but that's not true either. Because, the GMs are bad at the conservative stations, a lot of them, and I'm not going to mention anybody by name because that's not fair. Because, again, I've had limited interactions with them, and I'm only giving you my either limited perspective or an impression gained by talking to others. But here's the thing that I've always found amazing. We had this idea with Talk that and the Spark radio. Well, mainly with Talk. My original idea with Spark was to kind of keep it full on conservative, and then I met folks like Bryce. And then realized that we were already and then with Dave, and we decided, maybe we should do both sides of it as much as we can. But here's the thing that always amazes me. I find a conservative doing a radio show of some sort, and usually I talk to them, and they're like, hey, yeah, it's fine, you can run our show. Never talk to me about, am I going to make any money off of it, or are you going to run ads on it, except for a couple that were basically just point blank, you can't edit it at all. And I'm sorry, I'm not willing to do that because I'm not going to put out all of your stuff all over my station without at least having the ability to put some of my stuff in there with it. But then there's the liberal side of the coin, where I've talked to a few people, other than the two exceptions that we have so far, which are Dave and Bryce. And anytime I find a liberal show that I think might make a good addition to the flip side of the coin, and maybe give them a run for it for a while, see if their idea gets any traction with the listeners, see what happens. The first thing they want to know is whether or not they're going to get paid. Shouldn't that be the reverse? Can we just be completely honest? Shouldn't that be the reverse? We're supposed to be the money-grubbing capitalists, so why are you guys that are supposedly on the left side of things, first thing you want to know is how much money you're going to make? All right, so at this point, this will do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. This has been the Red Shirt Friday edition, mainly because, I at least wanted to give a shout out to the troops, both deployed and abroad. Some of you know who you are. I'm not going to mention your last name, but a longtime friend of mine posted something to Facebook not too long ago about the fact that he was redeploying. So, JJ, I know you don't hear it enough, my friend, but we've been friends since we were kids. I haven't seen you in forever, but the simple fact of the matter is you are doing something that I will always honor you for, even if I never see you again other than social media. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you for doing what you do. For all of you that are currently in the military, thank you for your service. For all of you who are retired from the military, again, thank you for your service. For all of you that are doing the reserve work, thank you for your service. Coast Guard, thank you for your service. National Guard, yes, I know some of my Army friends are rolling their eyes at me right now, but yes, National Guard, thank you for your service. And again, I know it doesn't really fit with Friday, but since it's my background, to those of you holding and towing the thin blue line. Do what you got to do. Keep yourself safe. Keep your head on the swivel, and make sure you come home. That goes for all of you. This has been Rick Robinson. This is America Off the Rails. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning starting at 9 with Bryce's triumphant return to Finding Common Ground. Then we'll roll right straight into Opinion Nation with Bryce Robbins. Then, of course, you'll finish out your Saturday morning with yours truly from 11 to 12 Central. And we are currently working on having Mr. Rod Eccles, who did a guest spot with us on Wake Up America last evening, to make the rounds with the rest of the folks here. So feel free to check out that interview, and then he'll be back with us here in a couple of weeks right here on America Off the Rails. Actually, probably, I think we're planning on doing it during the Red Shirt Friday edition, so he'll be joining me. I think it's honestly probably going to be next week, but we'll see. We'll leave it up to him at this point, because I don't want to make him feel like he's got to do it. But, again, don't forget, tomorrow, 9 to noon, 3 hours consecutive programming. Then, of course, at some point tomorrow night, we will have the Voices of Global Freedom radio crew. They are, unfortunately, still using Blog Talk Radio, so it makes it difficult for me to live stream them. But we will have them up on the feed as soon as we can. And then, of course, Sunday, we will have God's Pure Word of Faith with Richard Harden. Then, of course, Monday, we have the Patriot Radio Show with Tom O'Halloran starting at noon. Then sometime around that same time frame, the podcast from the Around the Ring crew will drop. And they have now been syndicated by a full-on wrestling radio station. So they're now available here on the Spark, and are here as in K98 Talk through the Spark and through that particular wrestling network. And unfortunately, they've had to recently change their name, so I cannot remember for the life of me who they are. So we're just going to call them the network formerly known as Shoot Wrestling. And then we have the new evening lineup that I'm really, really excited about. We had a partial kickoff of it last week. We're going to have the Politainment crew back again. We're going to have our very own Steve Long back live at K98 Talk where he belongs. So you'll have me kicking off at 6, him from 7. Angie and Clay will have the new crew filling in for them for Monday night to give you guys a taste of what they plan on bringing to both Politainment and K98Talk.com. Then, of course, we will have Daniel Stafford batting cleanup. Can't think of a better guy to do it. His show is awesome. And I'm really looking forward to the fact that, because it looks like he's getting some pretty good numbers over here, so I'm hoping he's finally going to get some of the attention that he deserves, because he really is a great guy, really has his heart in the right place, and puts a lot of thought and work into his show, so you guys really should be checking it out every single week. And don't forget to show the podcast some love. As far as this show goes, of course, you can always find me anytime we're live on our TuneIn server right here at K98Talk.com on the website. You can find us on a replay through Stitcher. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on Spreaker. Again, at this point, if you're not finding me, it's because you're not looking. Some of you are not looking on purpose, but that's okay, because you still listen to me anyway, which disturbs me just a little. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. As soon as this drops, we should have Bunny's Wednesday night triumphant return back onto the feed, and then we'll have Jason right behind her, and then at some point tonight we will get the Late Night in the Midlands crew stuff loaded up. But I am going to have dinner with the wife, so some of this will be on autopilot, because we've got to get some maintenance stuff done anyway. So I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Don't forget. And until then, remember, find a way to get involved. Grassroots movements matter. Those are what really change things. Find a way to get involved locally. Find a way to make a difference. Find a candidate that you support, that you can get behind. Donate your time. Donate your money. Knock on doors. Put out flyers. Make phone calls. Whatever it is that you can do. Even if you disagree with 99% of what I say, I would much rather have us on opposite sides of an argument and both be actively engaged than us on both sides or different sides of an argument and one of us sitting on the couch not doing anything about it. Because like I said, 99% of us all have the same things in common. We just don't want to stop and think about that. And that's what disturbs me. All right, so that's going to do it for tonight's episode, and I know I said that a little bit ago, but at this time I really, really, really do mean it, because like I said, I'm going to go have some dinner with the wife, see if we can find something fun to do on a Friday night. For those of you who have been tuned in live, thank you very much for your support. As always, you can reach me anytime on Twitter at _R_OKC. You can find me on Facebook.com/Rowdy Ricky Robinson. You can find me through email at ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com. And of course, I will start making an effort to try to get into the chat, but since I do self-produce a lot, it does make things a little more difficult for me. But I will start making an effort as soon as I can figure out how to do 14 things at once. You guys have a great night, and I will see you when I see you.
For her own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause it's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place. Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later. Game over, man. It's game over.